So I'm going to go ahead. There we go. So now we're recording for all those people at home who are going to watch and you guys to watch later. And I want to start this week off by kind of having a broad conversation about week 5. And those of you who have that I've chatted with this week, I've talked to a bunch of you already this week, which has been fantastic. It's the same story with everybody, and that's the reason that my phone call falls in this line. It's not just an arbitrary day I choose to talk to you guys. There's a reason for this time frame. And at week 4 and week 5, you're at the point where you know what you're doing, you have an idea of everything, you've got all the basic information you need to be able to make good choices and to understand your meal plans. But it's at this point where you start to veer off and maybe choose to do things outside of the meal plan, or maybe you're like, okay, I need a little break from it this week or something. And what ends up happening is you just fall off. And I've gotten probably 4 phone calls today that I talked with when I pulled the journals. There's just not a lot of information the last couple of days. And it's a real indication for me that people are getting either frustrated, maybe the results aren't where they want them, or they're getting bored with the meal plan, or just it's kind of that timing. 4 or 5 weeks into it, you just kind of get tired of it. And so this week, I really, really want to focus on just really getting tight with the numbers, understanding your numbers really clearly. I'm going to go over one question and answer from this past week. I've got one topic to cover that I'm going to double back on with meal plan numbers, because guys, in the next 3 weeks, this is where it really matters. This is, you have all the information, you know what to do. It's now when you can put it all together and really focus. And so I'm challenging those people that I've already talked with, those that are on here. I've already talked with a couple of you guys. You guys can confirm this, that this is my challenge to you guys, is I want you to get really, really tight with your numbers. If you're not hitting your protein and calorie numbers, then those have already heard it from me, then you're just not doing the work. That's what I was told. Jason, you're just not doing the work. I lost 3 pounds in 3 months and I wasn't doing the work. And I thought I was doing the work, and I said I was doing the work, and I told Brooke I was doing the work, and I thought I was doing the work, but I had to really focus. And if it means being very repetitive and eating the same thing every day for 2 weeks, just to get yourself focused on knowing what your body's going to do to get over a slump, to get past a plateau, whatever it is, you have to get really clear on those numbers. Several of you are still struggling to hit the protein and calorie numbers, and the result is you're just not moving. The scales aren't moving, you're not changing, your body's not changing, and it's shifting the mindset from the old mindset of dieting, because we can't diet. This isn't a diet. We have to learn to eat to fuel our body. So I'm going to get really clear with those numbers here in just a minute, so that you have to be crystal clear on that part from here forward. I know every one of you can do this. 3 weeks is plenty of time to hit the goals that you want. It's plenty of time to get really serious. Sounds like you guys are doing amazing. And it's the workout part is what's so crazy, is the workout part is what we focus on, and we're just so dedicated to that part of it. But that's only 20% of the equation. It's the 80% nutrition that we just kind of neglect. So I really, really, really want you to focus this week on hitting those numbers and being true to your journals, and really focusing. If you haven't tried some type of meal replacement to help you reach those numbers, maybe it's time to do that. Or figure out snacks or something that's going to help you reach those numbers. And tonight's topic will help. It'll give you some more tools for meal planning and understanding labels a little better, that will help you get there this week. So hopefully this will kind of finish filling in the gaps for you to get there. So I'm going to go ahead and start tonight's presentation so you guys can get going, taking notes. And that way, we'll get learning some good stuff. So tonight, our topic is one of my favorite ones. It's in meal planning and nutrition labels, because this is really where people get screwed up. Prepping meals and understanding kind of some strategies to be able to prep meals and how to plan for that, making time for planning, is something that we just neglect. It's if you're a Facebook follower of mine today, my post was on procrastination. And it's something that we procrastinate. We know we need to do meal planning. We're like, yeah, I know I need to take some time out to put together my grocery list and plan out my week, but we just don't do it. And we procrastinate on it so much until, you come home from work and you haven't planned, and then that's when you just call for a sushi delivery, or you walk down the street. In my case, I live above Ted's Bulletin. So, I'm right on 14th Street where all the restaurants are. I can go anywhere. It's so simple just to go, screw it, I didn't plan, so I'm just going to go eat and be done with the day. Had you taken a couple of hours sometime else in the week to do what we're going to do tonight, then those things won't happen. So this is a very, very good topic for us. And for things to change, you've got to change. You have to change your thinking about these things if you want better results. There's no question. You have to change what you're doing. We're going to review fats and digestive health from last week. I've got some great questions you guys had, and then one topic that I'm going to cover during that, and then we'll get to this week's topics of meal planning and nutrition labels, and then last, the question and answer stuff. And so there's our two main topics that we'll cover. So last week, fantastic conversation about fats. You guys sent me some great questions on this. Real quickly, fats are categorized, remember, in three different ways: saturated, polyunsaturated, and monounsaturated, where your saturated fats tend to be your quote-unquote bad ones. You guys know I hate good and bad, but it's a good place to use those terms. Saturated fats raise the blood cholesterol level. They're found in most meats, especially fatty meats like red meat, cheeses, and ice creams, as well as those things that are hydrogenated. And that means that they have been processed so that they become solid at room temperature. And that produces trans fats. And trans fats are the things that cause major health problems. So if you're using some type of cooking product, an oil or a grease or something that is room temperature, it is a solid at room temperature, and it does not come that way in nature. I'll make that caveat, because coconut oil comes and goes in solid form based off of its consistency, will change with no problems. But things like shortening, and I don't use product names, but solid oils are just pure trans fats, and they're very unhealthy for you. So just stay away from those things. The polyunsaturated fats, those are, depending on what their source is, can be good or bad. And that deals with whether they're omega-6 fatty acids or omega-3 fatty acids. And we just want to be careful with the omega-6s. They contribute to inflammatory responses in the body, which can cause all kinds of problems with our health. And so our diet is typically overloaded with the omega-6s, and that's because of our food sources that are grown in captivity and under stress. The body in an animal that's under stress will convert omega-3s to omega-6s. And so as the demand for food has increased and the demand for raising animals at a quicker pace on smaller land, this has caused this problem in our food sources. So we have to be careful with it and where they come from. And omega-6s tend to increase things like asthma and heart disease, and are a major cause of cancers. And so we just want to make sure that we know where our meats are grown, especially our seafood, and just steer clear of those. And then the third one is monounsaturated fats. These are found in olive oil and avocados that are healthy oil that has zero effect on your cholesterol, and they do not promote cancers. And so these are typically called your healthy fats. And you can eat these. These are really good sources to put fat in your diet. They are high in calorie, remember that, so they do affect your calories, but they're good sources of fat that you should be eating in moderation. I also gave you guys a great little comparison here with different dietary fats from oils, and which ones are healthy and which ones are not. And then lastly, we talked about the types of fats that are in these things, and staying away from the omega-6 foods that are high in omega-6s, just to help our bodies stay a little healthier. Then we talked about some tips. So using pan sprays for sauteing food, sauteing wine and broth. Use non-fat or reduced fat versions of your high-fat foods, except be careful, and there's a little caveat with that one. Make sure that you're looking at the sugar content in a product that is low-fat, because typically they will replace the fat with sugar so it tastes a little better. Avoid fatty meats like steaks and high-fat ground meats, chops, and sausages. Eat more poultry, fish, shellfish, egg whites, non-dairy products. Soy proteins and other things, but less red meats are healthier choices in the fats. Avoid farmed salmon. This goes back to that omega-6 problem. Salmon that's farmed in captivity tend to grow under stress. They become fattier than wild salmon, in which case they contain larger amounts of omega-6 fatty acids. And despite myths to the contrary, shellfish is not high in cholesterol and is an excellent source of protein. So you should consume this in your diet as well. Use things like herbs and spices, lemon, garlic, onions, chilies, and other seasonings to flavor your foods instead of relying on sauces, gravies, and butter and things like that. Those will help cut out some of those unwanted calories. And then when you eat out, try to make smarter choices. Order fish and meat and poultry that's grilled or broiled or poached, steamed or roasted, and stay away from things that are fried. Again, going back to the gravies, if you look at a menu, they use lots of descriptive words that can lead you to understand how things are cooked. And so just be on the watch for those. And then order your salad dressing on the side so that you control how much you eat. Great tip with this one, and I'm going to reiterate this one because I talked about it today with another challenge member, that when you order the salad dressing on the side, dip your fork in it and then eat your salad with the dressing that's on the fork. The coating on the fork has plenty of salad dressing to give you the flavor, and you'll be absolutely disgusted with how much salad dressing is left over when you finish it, and you'll understand why salads can be unhealthy. And then lastly on here, try fresh fruits and sorbets for desserts rather than pastries and ice creams. And then we talked a little bit about digestive health, because digestive health is one of the most essential components of your entire body. Your digestion is the reason that your body stays healthy. It has to be healthy in order to process the nutrients that we put into it. It can affect your weight, your skin, your energy, and your immune system. In fact, a large portion of your immune system is actually located inside your digestive system, so you really need to make sure that stays healthy. To get the most from your weight loss program or a fitness program, it's really a good idea to either start with a cleanse or at least do a cleanse periodically. I myself do a cleanse every quarter, so every 3 or 4 months I have a cleanse. I do rotate them around just so my body gets a little different, but those things could involve things like soothing aloe for improved digestion. It may increase the fiber for temporary purposes so that you can clean out your digestive system a little more aggressively, and then also replacement of friendly bacteria like probiotics. I gave you guys a couple of examples. Those are an aloe and a probiotic that I use, and then the 3 cleanses that I recommend. And you guys, I tell you, you guys took this to heart last week. Many of you went out and got started on a cleanse or starting on a cleanse and purchased cleanses. And I talked with a couple people today who are at the point where you're really fine-tuning things and you're adding aloe in just to make sure your digestive system is really healthy. And so I applaud you guys for taking that initiative. You're going to see a significant difference from that just by working that. So congrats on that. Now, I want to get to some of the questions because these are really good questions. One of them was, again, about the low-fat versus non-fat, and a great learning tool for this is picking up yogurt at the grocery store. So if you go into your grocery store and look at your non-fat and low-fat options, I challenge you to pick up your favorite brand of yogurt, or maybe it's your favorite brand of cottage cheese, or maybe it's just plain milk. But turn the labels around so you can compare them and look at the different food labels. After tonight, you're going to understand food labels a little more anyway, so it'll be easy. And really look at the content that's in it. Look at the protein, the calories, the fat, and then the carbohydrates and the sugar. And what you'll notice is that when a product, the lower the fat content is in a product, the higher the sugar is. And so not that we shouldn't be looking out for those lower fat options, especially those ones that are potentially not healthy for us, but we don't want to take out fat just to have it replaced with added sugars. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about added sugars. And so for me, I tend to lean towards the 2% type products. And so all of my yogurt tends to be 2%. It has the highest amount of protein and the lowest amount of sugar. And they all have a moderate amount of fat. And so I don't really care about that. My body needs that. So I'm fine with that. So check your labels, really focus. Don't think that you don't need to eat fats. And so choosing the non-fat option typically is the more unhealthy version for us in our diets overall because of sugar. Then we had several questions on omega-3, omega-6s. I do recommend, and I put in most everyone's meal plan, adding in the omega-3 supplement. And the reason is because we don't typically get enough omega-3s. And I want it to be something that you're being more conscious of in your diet, that you're getting good omega-3s to combat the toxins in your system and to combat free radicals in the body, but also becoming more aware of the omega-6s in your foods. And so You don't have to be on omega-3 supplement. If you're eating good quality foods that you know have good sources of omega-3, you don't have to do it. But if you are going to be on an omega-3 supplement, make sure that it's a pure version that doesn't contain a lot of additives. So they're usually just yellow colored capsules that are kind of oily inside. If you stick that in the freezer and it freezes, then it's full of fillers, and so it's not a good quality one. It's the freezer test. Every omega-3 should have a freezer test. If you're using it, it should not freeze in the freezer, or it's not pure. So toss those out, buy you a better version of one if you are going to be on omega-3. And then the healthiest, I had a question about the healthiest cooking oil, because there is some contradiction in that one graph. Now, I do like coconut oil, but you noticed on coconut oil that it is one of the worst ones for on the list, but it only comes in because it's considered a saturated fat because it's solid at room temperature. It is a special case, and I should have made a little caveat with that one when I put that on there, that list. But coconut oil is typically fairly healthy. It's not bad for you. It's although it does have a higher level of saturated fats than the others. It is a healthy alternative. So it is a misleading graph about that. So you might just want to ignore that part from it. But keep in mind, it is a solid, and so it does have some of the saturated fat properties, but it is a healthier version of the oil. In fact, it gives you a significant amount of good healthy fats. And there's a lot of research on coconut out there in general that talks about how healthy coconut milk and coconut oil and all those things are for your body. So don't worry about that. But remember, the healthiest cooking oil is canola oil. And canola oil has been around for many, many years. It is the preferred healthiest version. It is a very good source of fats for your body, very closely followed by olive oil. So any of those are fine. If you don't like cooking with full olive oil, then a lighter version of olive oil, light olive oil, is fine. Just remember that the cooking temperatures on oils vary greatly based on their density, and so they all cook a little differently than each other. All right, the other questions we had were on digestive health. The cleanse was the first one. Now, a couple of questions. Do cleanses cause digestive discomfort? Yes and no. So the short answer to the cleanse is it should not cause digestive discomfort. The cleanse is not there to disrupt your digestive system and clean everything out or just flush everything out. You should not be going to the bathroom with diarrhea for several days with the cleanse. That's not the purpose. If that is caused by your cleanse, then I wouldn't use that cleanse. It's something in it's not working for you. But most of those cleanses that are quick cleanses, like 7-day cleanses or 8-day cleanses, if it says, if it has psyllium husk and thistleweed and things like that in it, then they can be a little more abrasive to the system and cause a little more digestive discomfort. Depending on how sensitive you are, you may want to stay away from those. But a cleanse should last, in my opinion, should last you as long as it possibly can. So I prefer to do a 21-day cleanse. It takes about 21 days for your entire digestive system to turn over the lining. So from top to bottom, your digestive system completely sloughs off into a brand new system every 21 days. And so if you do a cleanse for 21 days, then you are absolutely assured that your complete digestive system is just kind of reset from the very beginning. And that way you're starting fresh and clean, literally. So I would suggest that doing it that way, and then see how your body works with it. Most of them are some type of tablet or capsule or something in the morning and one at night. Some are 2 in the morning, 2 at night, but most all of them will be morning and night products. One cleans and one soothes. Then aloe. I cannot stress to you guys how much I enjoy my aloe. It's not something that a lot of people think about, but it's really almost like a natural soothing agent. So if you tend to get heartburn or acid reflux or any problems in your digestive system, I have an extremely sensitive digestive system. And so I drink aloe like water, and you can't overdrink aloe, you can't overdose on aloe. But there are so many types of aloes out there. I gave you guys some really good information last week on it. So go back and rewatch that if you're having problems and think that aloe is a good product, or shoot me a text about it. I encourage you to try aloe. It's a great way to keep your digestive system nice and comfy and acting properly, as well as a probiotic. I do take a probiotic pretty regularly. If you're not eating foods like yogurts that are high in active cultures, then you definitely want to make sure you have a probiotic in your cabinet so that you can keep those healthy bacteria in your stomach. Now, especially like right now, many of us myself included, are on medications because of these allergies and things. And so just know, anytime you put some type of antibiotic or anything in your body like that that kills off bacteria, it's also going to kill off the bacteria in your stomach. That's the reason they want you to take it with food. And one of the side effects is digestive discomfort, because it's actually killing off all the bacteria. And so your little digestive system just gets beat up when you take some type of antibiotic, and it needs to be replaced, or it takes a while for it to rebuild. So if you do have to go on antibiotics for any reason, you really do need to start a probiotic immediately after that, so you can get that rebuilding quickly. All right, let's see. All right, before I get there, now I want to go back and take a little sidestep, because one of the other main questions, but after I had this completed, that kept coming up, recurring in my conversations this week, is about calories. And I was noticing on not everybody's, but I was noticing on a significant number of people's meal plan that calories were falling significantly short of my recommended number. In fact, several of you had even gone into your MyFitnessPals and reduced the number of calories from what I had asked you to be targeting. And it really struck me that it's not necessarily something that that you don't have the tools to eat that much food, that it's really a change in your mindset. And after I really dug into it with a couple of you guys, it just proves to me that we have trained ourselves that if we feel like we need to lose a few pounds, then we just, it's just human nature. We eat less. We just start to consume less. And I can't stress enough, guys, and that's the reason I start with my story. It's the reason I show pictures. It's the reason that I'm very open about my journey. I cannot stress enough to you. Your results will suffer when you start dropping calories. It just simply is mechanics of the body. The body will shut down all of its mechanisms of shedding body fat and building muscle and getting healthier if you start to starve it. And you know, if I told you needed to have 1,800 calories and you're consuming 1,200 calories a day over a whole week period, you're missing thousands of calories that your body is significantly starving for. And so your body's not going to lose weight. It's just going to sit tight. And so when you start calculating your calories, I want you guys to be a little more proactive with your calories. Go back to your meal plan and look at the number of calories that I put on there that said this is your resting metabolic rate, calories burned. Okay, so how many calories is your body burned at rest? So if you just got up today and I got up this morning and I did nothing at all today, then my body would burn X number of calories. My body will burn about 2,800 calories a day, whether I want it to or not. That is my baseline number. If I don't consume 2,800 calories today, then my body starts to slow down. That's just the way it is. I'm not fueling it enough to feed it properly. But I did more than just get up today and sit around. I went for a jog. I went to the gym. I worked with clients. I did things. I walked probably 4 miles with my brand new puppy today just to keep him tired. So I did expended more calories, and my body needs fuel to do those calories. So now if I have a heart rate monitor, or if I'm just making a really good guesstimate about what I'm burning in a class, and balanced burn class, if you guys are doing those, you should be burning around 500 calories or more. If you're doing a high intensity spin class, maybe it's more. If you're doing CrossFit, you're probably burning 6 to 7, maybe 800 calories in an intense class. If I do Sweatbox, I'm going to burn close to 1,000 calories. So now if my baseline number is 2,800 calories, and I add another 1,000 calories of workout to it, plus a few extra for just general walking around today, then I need to fuel another 1,000 calories in my diet. Now, there's a buffer. There's about a 300 to 500 calorie range on either side that your body can handle and not go into starvation or storage. But guys, realize if I'm expending 3,800 calories and I'm only fueling my body 2,000 calories because I just feel like I need to lose some weight, my body will shut down and the body fat will pile on. So you have to learn those numbers. You've got to go back to those numbers and look at it closely and go, okay, realistically, this is what I need to put in my body. And now I'm burning this number of calories in the gym. If I'm not fueling those calories, I need to do something else, right? And so you have your protein. Protein stays the same. Based off your muscle mass, your protein numbers are the same. If you're not meeting that calorie count, then by all means, throw in some more complex carbohydrates. Clearly, you need more energy to go to the gym. If you're not consuming enough calories, you got to have energy to go to the gym. So add in some additional fruits and vegetables to your day. Put in some more complex carbohydrates. Choose a sprouted grain bread to have a couple of pieces for breakfast with your breakfast shake or whatever it is. Just really look at your meal plan and think, how can I get some healthier carbohydrates and fats and proteins into my diet this next couple of weeks, okay? So if you have questions on that, as I'm talking to you guys individually, I'm working on that number a little bit more, but you've got 3 weeks. I want you guys to hit this hard, and I know you can do it. All right, so let's get started on this week's topics now. We're meal planning and nutrition labels. These are two very, very common topics that I deal with on a daily basis because this is really where your long-term success can be built. You really have to build these disciplines in order to do this long-term. And this is something, I mean, I almost want to turn my camera around and show you guys my refrigerator because it's kind of silly what my refrigerator looks like. It's like fresh foods that I buy, and then I package it all in these little containers just like this, so it's ready-made, and I just do that. So meal planning and preparation is the #1 way to overcome excuses. There is not a single time that I've talked to you guys, not a single one of you that I don't think I've talked to that didn't have some type of an excuse for why your meal plan didn't work this week for some reason. You were running behind, or your schedule was busy and you didn't make meals, or there was nothing healthy at work to eat. And you eat out for work and functions and entertainment. And so there's always something that's going to be in the way for you to be able to have as an excuse as to why you didn't have a ready-made meal or did not have something healthy. But quite honestly, there is no excuse. There is no real excuse that any of these things can get in the way. It doesn't matter if you're running behind. If you have it in the refrigerator like I do, you grab and go. You got it in your bag, ready to go. Walk into Metro with a backpack with your lunch and 2 snacks in it. You're all set, no problem. It takes 5 seconds to throw that in your bag if you've done the homework before. And so then eating out and work functions, we're going to talk about how to plan for those because that becomes a huge problem for us, especially in this environment in DC where a lot of us work in the environment where we have to entertain, or on the weekends. This past weekend was a beautiful weekend, and so everyone wanted to be out doing things at the beer garden or going and eating outside and doing something fun. And it's not that you can't do those things, but if you plan ahead, then they don't really sabotage your whole meal plan. So there is no right or wrong way to do this, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and tools, but there is no right or wrong way. You can Google meal planning and meal preparation and find thousands of different techniques and tools and baskets and bags and containers to do all kinds of things and all kinds of great things. But it has to be something that works for you. It has to be enjoyable, and it has to be an effective way of doing this. And so you can't just copy whatever somebody else did and hope that it works right. You need to really think about your lifestyle and think, okay, well, what do I need to be able to effectively take my food with me or have snacks available, and what does that all look like? And so there is some homework in all of this before you get started. You've got to do homework before you get prepping. You've got to take time to make a plan for this part, to think about storage methods. Maybe you need to go to Amazon and buy some storage containers. I think there's a pack of like 20 to-go boxes like you can get at the grocery, when you go to a restaurant. They're like plastic to-go boxes, I guess kind of like what maybe Chinese food comes in when it comes to you when you order Chinese food. Like a little plastic container with a plastic lid, and they come in single boxes, they come in 2 dividers, and they come in 3 dividers, 3 sections. And I think they were like $5 for 10 of each of those things. And so I have those. If they break or they get used too many times, I'm not worried about throwing them out. There's no reason to go buy expensive Gladware or plasticware or anything expensive at Costco with these things. You're just going to use it until it dies. And so just find something effective and do it that way. Consider your freezer and fridge space. A lot of us here in DC, I live in a condo. My refrigerator is limited. I have it's a slightly smaller compact width than a normal refrigerator, so I can't put a whole lot of things in it. So I have to be careful with that. Think about transportation. How are you going to get your stuff from home to work? How do you get to the work? Do you ride the Metro? Do you carry a backpack? Do you just carry your purse to work? What do you use on your daily basis to get to places that you'll be able to have these things with you? And so consider the types of products or the types of storage containers that you would have to do to get it there. And then also you need to know your ingredients, so that you know exactly what's going to be in these. Can you mix them? Can things be separated? Is it going to be a liquid form? You know, what kind of things are you going to need in order to make it work? Okay. So then here's some really good tips. We're going to go through these and talk a little bit about them. So spend some time each week looking for recipes. Browse blogs, websites, social media. I give you guys some samples in social media. I forwarded one today into social media about a cauliflower taco. I find them on cookinglight.com. I subscribe to several blogs that just send me random emails that I sometimes I see a good little recipe and I save it. Sometimes I don't. But I just kind of keep those things in mind for things. And a lot of that stuff, I just use it to forward on to people because I kind of have my own meals. And then I use one of the box services for my dinner. So I use Blue Apron for most of my dinners. And so that works for me. So I don't really have to think about cooking a lot of times. But if you really want to cook and want some good ideas, there's a lot of great stuff out there. But spend time each week looking for that. Create a place for you to save recipes and keep it simple. Now, I do use Pinterest. I have several reasons that I like Pinterest, but it's a great place to pin, you know, your recipes. I have a couple of different groups of like healthy recipes. I have one that I am entitled, you know, yummy unhealthy recipes, because I will save, you know, like a fantastic dessert that I might make to take someplace, because I don't always eat healthy. And so I have that on there, but I will find, and of course with Pinterest, if you start searching for healthy items, then it fills your timeline with healthy items that are kind of similar. So that's a great place. Evernote is a good way. I have a couple clients that have SpringPad, that use SpringPad, but you know, even the old-fashioned index card box, if you just want to write out a recipe and stick it in an index card box, that works too. Whatever works for you, keep it simple, keep it something that you can do, and that you will do is the main thing. So ask your friends and families, husbands, wives, and partners, the people that you live with, what they like to eat. I enjoy cooking. I really do enjoy cooking. And I have always said in my next life, I'm going to open up a little restaurant in the Caribbean on the side of the beach somewhere, and I'm just going to cook for people because I love it. I love to entertain, and I love to have people over and make meals for people. And I try to make healthy versions of meals that people think might not be so healthy, and that inspires me to take friends and bring them into my home and feed them stuff that's healthy and have them guess what's in it. I have a really good friend who's from the deep South, and I made a brunch one day, and he asked me if I would cook shrimp and grits. And I love shrimp and grits, but shrimp and grits has a lot of fat in it because it has the way the grits are cooked in the South. They just have a lot of butter and meat fat and cheese and things like that in it. And so I made a really very tasty, healthy version that he absolutely loved. And when I told him what all was in it, it floored him that they were as good as they could be and still be healthier for him. As well as just other foods that people don't really think about being healthy, and just make it kind of a challenge for you to get inspired by your friends and do something for them and make healthy versions. Now this may sound kind of weird, but check the weather, because you know, on rainy days, you may want soup or something that's, you know, warmer, a chili, a vegetable stew or something like that, versus when it's really hot, you might just want a salad or something refreshing. And so plan out your week by looking at what the weather's going to be. Now, right now, it's getting really warm. So, I'm a hot weather person, and I'm not going to have soup on a day that's warm. I'm already a hot natured person. So make sure you know what the weather is going to be like, so that when you come home, if there's a rainy day, that's just kind of one of those cuddle on the couches kind of night, maybe you've already planned that you're going to have, you know, a vegetable chili or something that week, and you've made that ready to go, and that's already ready in the refrigerator, so that you come home and yes, I get this warm chili for tonight. And sit on the couch in my blanket with my hot tea and just kind of veg out for the night, versus having, you know, salmon and a salad that's a little cooler, and you know, you got to do a lot of work for it when you just want to cuddle on the couch. So check the weather and make sure you know what that is. Now keep a meal journal. So just like you have your workout journal and you're writing down what you're doing in the gym, and you have your journal for, you know, tracking your food and all of your calories, but keeping a meal journal is really, really helpful. Write down the menu that you prepare, and keep track of how you liked it, and if the portion was good, and if you thought it was too much, you know, when you put it into MyFitnessPal, if there was too much sugar in it, and how you can change these things and really, really learn by making the menu how foods are made and what's in them. And so today, even with one of you guys, I was chatting about making like a big pot of something, and how do you figure out what's in that, and how do you do that? Well, you know, MyFitnessPal has a really good tool in it, so that you can use the My Personal Meal tool in MyFitnessPal, and you just create your own meal. And so let's say you're making a vegetarian chili, or even just a regular chili for the night, or you know, a bean stew of some kind. And so you have all these different beans that you're going to put in. You maybe have you know, some lean turkey, ground turkey that you're going to put in it, and your spices and whatnot. Well, all of those things have nutrition labels on them. And so especially after you learn to read nutrition labels, you should be able to just take that and go, okay, well, this is what's in this can, and I put this can of beans in, so that goes in the meal prep into MyFitnessPal. So when you're done with the whole recipe, it'll give you all of the ingredients and all of the nutritional value of everything you put in there. Now, when it's done and it says there are 85 grams of protein and there's 2,200 calories in this pot, then you know you need to portion that out according to how much calories and protein your body might need in one serving. So there might be 5 or 6 servings in this big bowl. Now, interestingly, when you do that, you might find out that you've been making this for a while, and you've kind of had in your head that it's like, you know, maybe 3 portions, and you realize that you've been eating double. I did that. I used to make a really, really yummy casserole that I thought was really healthy. And I would make it and then just like break it into 4. And one night I was like, wait, I really have never calculated this out. And so I put it all in MyFitnessPal and realized it was actually 7 servings, and I had broken it into 4. But I was eating at least, you know, almost 2 servings every time I would eat it, and I wasn't keeping track of that. So once you do it and you know what's in it, now you have a better idea, and maybe you can make some substitutions that balance things out a little bit. So maybe the calories are lower and the protein content's a little higher, or maybe your fiber is a little different. Once you put it all down, you can make adjustments. So keeping a journal will help you do that. Number 6, start a calendar. Now, I love the calendar idea. I am a systems kind of person. Everything in my life is systemized. You guys would freak if you saw my calendar, just keeping track of everything. And my Google Calendar has probably 10 different calendars on it. So I have like workout calendars and meal calendars and client calendars and webinar calendars and personal calendars, and they all, of course, are different color coordinated. And so I do have one that is a meal calendar. And what will happen is I'll just go through there and put in what I'm having on my calendar at what time of the day, and it'll actually tell me what's scheduled for that particular meal. And so if you are a planner and you want to do this ahead of time, you can sit down with your calendar and write everything out and say, okay, well, my breakfast tomorrow morning is at 7 a.m. and this is what I'm having. And that's on that calendar at 7 a.m. And then at 10:30, I have my snack. And then at 1 o'clock, I'm having my lunch. And this is what my lunch might look like. And then I'm having my snack and my pre-workout, my post-workout. Guys, I'm not joking with you when I tell you that there are days that I have to set my calendar to remind me all of those things so I don't fall off track. So I will get a notification on my screen while I'm talking to one of you guys that'll say, it's time to eat your snack, and it'll even has my snack on it, on what my snack will be. And so I'm that regimented so that I can stay on track. And especially right now, if you're really trying to create those habits, maybe adopt something like this that can really help you stay on track through the day and see exactly what it is. If you need to make alarms in your phone so that you're like, I miss my 3 o'clock snack every day, I don't know what I can do about that. Put an alarm in your phone or on this calendar to say, remember you have a snack coming up at 3 o'clock so you don't forget. So use a calendar for it if you need to. I love this one. Go with theme nights. Because I love to entertain with friends, I love to have themes. If I cook dinner for people, there's usually going to be a common item that's going to appear in all of the dishes, or there's going to be like, you know, a type of ethnicity that I'm going to cook that night. And so I'm kind of weird about those things. I love to do it. I don't just throw things together. I have a plan for it. But, you know, everybody loves a Taco Tuesday. And so build your week around themes and have that consistency. Remember, consistency is what builds your good habits. And so if you know that Tuesday night is tacos, I gave you a great recipe today in the Facebook group for tacos. So tonight, make tacos. Maybe Wednesday night is your veggie chili night, and maybe Thursday night, is your salmon salad and greens and all that good stuff. And, whatever Friday night maybe is your night that you go out for dinner. And so plan those things and know what you're going to have. It makes it so much easier to build to build the consistency around something if you know that every week these are the things that you're going to have. Choose a shopping day and make a shopping list. Now, I have it a little easier probably than a lot of people. I live literally a block from Trader Joe's and 2 blocks from Whole Foods and 3 blocks from Safeway. I don't have an excuse to go to the grocery store. It's a good thing because I don't have room for a lot of stuff in my fridge. But I choose to go shopping for my main stuff on Sunday. I have a break on Sunday from about 12 until 4, and I take that period of time on Sunday for my personal stuff at home, to go grocery shopping, and to prep for my next week. And because I'm fairly consistent with everything, my shopping list is always pretty similar. And I know exactly where I need to go and where to buy. Now, when you do this, it's very, very important to understand how grocery stores work. And so make sure that you only buy what's on your shopping list. If you wrote it on your shopping list, if you need chicken and you need broccoli and you need onions and you need carrots and you need salad and you need yogurt, then stick to those items. If that's what's on your list and that's what's on your menu for the week, don't go in there and go, oh, well, maybe I'll just make some of this and maybe I'll add this in. Well, I might as well buy that while I'm here because I might have that this week too. If you've done an effective job planning, you should have a comprehensive shopping list. And so be careful with those impulse shopping buys. Now, I'm just as guilty. If I go to Trader Joe's, there are a couple of those little items that just jump into my cart. No matter what I do, I walk out of there and I go, gosh, those stupid little pretzels with the peanut butter inside them always end up in my cart somehow. And I hate that because I eat them all at one sitting. And so they're never on my shopping list, but they always end up in my cart. The other thing, in most big grocery stores now, Trader Joe's, maybe not so much, but most big grocery store chains, the good stuff lives on the perimeter of the store. If you think about it, when you think about what's the way the aisles are laid out, you've got produce and meats and dairy and cheeses and things like that are all around the perimeter of the store. And yes, some of you have noted when I talked about this, the alcohol usually lives on the edge of the store as well. So I guess that's on the perimeter. But the unhealthy stuff typically lives in the center aisles. And so that's where your chips and your crackers and your candies and your cookies and all the processed foods all tend to live in the middle of the store. And so I have to be honest with you, if I go to Whole Foods, I don't know the last time I've been down an aisle in Whole Foods. The freezer section is probably the only aisles I go down. And then I go and get vegetable stock on the soup aisle. The rest of the products that I get are all on the perimeter of that store. And so it makes it easier. I don't have to fight crowds with buggies and stuff in the stores, but most of the good stuff lives on the perimeter. So be sure to just kind of limit yourself to the perimeter of the store. Number 9, check what's on sale. An excuse I hear all the time is it's so expensive to eat healthy, and it's not. I don't spend a lot of money on food, probably because I eat similar things all the time, and I know how to make it work for me and not be so expensive. But Trader Joe's, I can buy so much, and I've noticed that several of you guys eat a considerable amount of Trader Joe's foods, and so it's healthy, it's inexpensive, and it's easy. But also find options that you can buy in bulk that make it easier. Several of you have told me that you buy like the big tub of mixed nuts from Costco, or the Kind bars, protein bars you can buy at Costco, and different things you can buy in bulk that are cheaper in the long term for you to have. And so do that if you need to, and find a good source for this, but do some shopping and check around for those. Number 10, plan for leftovers. I don't know why, but I love leftovers. I love to make a meal tonight and then have it again for lunch tomorrow. That way I don't have to think about it. It's also one of the reasons that we do Blue Apron, because if you do Blue Apron, you can get the double meals in it, and then I don't have to cook lunch tomorrow. There are portions enough for us to have dinner tonight and for lunch tomorrow, and so that it always works out that we have leftovers. But anytime you're making a meal, think about what you're going to have for tomorrow. So when you're planning it and you're like, oh, on Tuesday night, I'm going to be making this, and I can have that for lunch on Wednesday or Thursday, and package it so that you know that. So plan those things so that it makes your meal planning easier through the week. Number 11, prep food as soon as you get back from the grocery store. Now, this comes back to this whole procrastination thing. I used to be really bad about buying foods like fruits and vegetables and meats and things like that, and just stick it in the refrigerator. And then when I went to cook, I'm like, oh, I've got to clean all this stuff. I've got to chop it up. I've got to do all these things. And it just is so time consuming. And so while I'm doing my prep for the week and doing my purchasing, I bring everything home. I clean everything and I package it in the refrigerator so that it's ready to go and ready to use. And this can be as simple as stuff like, you know, if you have carrots and you're going to be cooking carrots that week, go ahead and chop them so that you don't have to worry about it. Get that done. Put them in a bag and stick them in the fridge. All kinds of things you can prep ahead and have them ready to go. So make it easy on yourself. Don't wait until the last minute to cook things. Cook components of your meal ahead of time. So while you're cleaning vegetables, if you're going to be making a meal this week that might have a sauce with it, so let's say you're going to have a tomato sauce with something, and you can go ahead and get that ready and make it so that it can be in a container, a warmable container in the fridge, so that when you're ready to eat that night, you can just shove that in the microwave. It's much quicker and simpler. As well as things like buying a whole chicken and just roasting it right when you get home, and now you have chicken ready to go for that week to make sandwiches on or have dinner one night. And you just, again, saving money, buying a whole chicken, roasting it at one time, and then portioning it out for several meals through the week is a great tool. Number 13, be strategic about freezing. I love this because if you make sauce, for example, I will make a sauce, or I'll make, you know, like a pan of like grilled vegetables, and then put stuff in with those and quinoa and make kind of a casserole out of them. And I can take a huge casserole of this stuff that I make and then portion it out into freezable containers and stick it in the freezer, and it's good for weeks. As long as I put a date on it so that I know when I put it in there, but I can have this stuff very easy. So when I come home at night and I don't have time, there's always a frozen meal ready to go in there, and I don't have to rely on, you know, some type of packaged frozen meal or something like that. And then number 14, don't overstuff the refrigerator. This happens all the time to people. We forget what we put in the fridge. It ends up in the back of the refrigerator, so we don't know what it is, and then all of a sudden it's gone bad, and then we just throw it out. I mean, that's just the way it is. We end up throwing all the leftovers out and forget what they are. I even have a client that told me this. She puts a leftovers list on her door. So on her refrigerator door, when she puts something in it, in the refrigerator as leftovers, she writes on her leftovers list, so she knows that, you know, there's additional 2 pieces of chicken already in the fridge. So she knows what's in there without having to even look in the fridge, and that way she can plan. She can say, oh, there's 2 pieces of chicken I can use in 2 days or whatever for another meal. So be strategic about your refrigerator. Number 15, the last one, keep a well-stocked pantry. This is kind of an essential for all things. Keeping all your staples on hand, like olive oil and spices and lemons, things like that don't really go bad very quickly, that you can always have on hand. All of these staple foods make prepping meals and cooking meals so much easier if you have them on hand and you don't have to worry about running out or using an alternative that might not be healthy for you. Okay, so those are some of your great tips for meal planning. For that, now I've got a couple of little tools here. Now this is one of the meal planning strategy shopping lists that I've used in the past. I have a client that this is her only tracking method, by the way. She prefers this, and this lives on her refrigerator, and then it also lives in her purse. So she always has this. And every week she uses this to make notes on about what she wants to change, what she wants to add, and how she's going to prep it. And so if you have a list, Monday through Sunday list, and you've already planned out what you're going to have on here, it creates the shopping list and then what she needs to use, what she needs to prep for that meal. So have these on hand so that you can effectively make sure you're planning out your week and have some type of guide. The other one that I want to give you is this one's a great little tool. This one's also one that a client had showed me that she uses or that they use. It gives her the whole week with her breakfast, her AM snack, her lunch, her PM snack, and her dinner. She writes it all out. That way she has it on her calendar. on her refrigerator, and all of the food that is for these nights is in the refrigerator already packaged, ready to go. She even goes so far on this particular calendar to color code things that are already prepped. So if the chicken is already cooked, like if she's going to cook chicken on Monday night and she's going to have sandwiches with chicken on Wednesday for lunch, she's going to put the chicken on the lunch menu for Wednesday in a different color so she knows it's already prepped and she doesn't have to cook it. So she's very strategic about how she uses these tools. And so again, don't make them difficult. Don't make them too hard for you to think about. Just make them work for you so that so that you don't just neglect them and don't procrastinate. Make them easy and simple. All right, so we're going to move on from there. I'm sure you guys will have some questions on those, but I want to talk a little bit about nutrition labels because this is a really big topic. It's a short amount of information, but it's a lot of good stuff. So one of the most important skills that you can master is being able to read a food label and figure out exactly what you're getting from your foods. And I've talked to so many of you guys that have started really, really looking at labels and have just had some eye-opening experiences when you look at them and really understand what's in a label. Now, probably more importantly, understand that the Food and Drug Administration does not have a guideline that is, it's a set guideline, but it's not 100% truthful. And that's because the food industry has just lobbied to allow things to be put on there so that they don't get into trouble and they don't have to answer questions about what's in their food. And so know that a lot of things that's on the label is either not necessarily wrong information, but it's misleading information. So you really, really have to know what you're looking at to read the label. So I'm going to give you guys this first clue on this nutrition label should be the title: chunky, cheesy, rich and creamy broccoli soup. Now there are rich and creamy, chunky, cheesy. Those should indicate to you already that this probably isn't a very healthy option for you to consider. So when you look at this, right at the very top of their serving size is 1 cup. And servings per container, there are 2 servings per container. So everything from down below, is written in 1 serving size. So it has 250 calories per serving. So that's 1 cup of it. And 135 calories come from fat. Now, if you keep on looking down through there, some of the other numbers that you're familiar with, your fiber, it only has 2 grams of fiber. It has 2 grams of sugar. And then it has 5 grams of protein. And so when you put all of those numbers in perspective, we already see that maybe this isn't necessarily the healthiest option. It's very, very high in fat, significantly high in calories for a 1 cup serving, and it has very low protein. So it's not necessarily a good source for anything other than some fat and calories. But keep in mind, if this is a label of a canned soup and there are 2 servings in there, most of us, just because that's our meal, will eat 2 servings of this. And so now we look at the label and we go, oh, well, it's only 5 grams of it's 5 grams of protein and it's only 250 calories. But guess what? It has 2 servings, and if you added something to it like milk or something to extend it, if it's a condensed soup, then now you're adding even more calories and fat. And so you really, really, really have to look at this label and pay close attention to all the details that are on there. Don't assume that a small packaging is a single serving. If you look on all packaging, they all are packaged in a single serving, and the official beverage serving is 8 ounces. That's what the FDA has set up as an official beverage serving, but most drinks or most beverages are packaged in a 16-ounce or larger containers. And so they'll have 32 grams of sugar in 8 ounces, and you've just consumed 16 or even 32 ounces. So you've consumed either 2 times or 4 times that amount of sugar because you drank the whole bottle of that beverage. But we're just kind of misled by the information because we kind of assume that it's, even though we see it clearly, we'll justify that it's a single serving. All the nutrition facts are for a single serving. And so on this particular label, you have to double everything on there to get the accurate numbers for what you're consuming if you're using this particular example. Okay. Also want to talk a little about the percent daily value. So if I back up here and look at that far right column, the percent of daily, that percentage number out there is your percent daily amount. And what that means is based off of the FDA, they developed this tool. It says the standard use is to compare the nutrients in a food as it relates to the amount of a recommended daily diet. But that's based on 2,000 calorie diet. So a lot of you are not consuming 2,000 calories. And so if something is higher in percentage, especially the fat content says it's maybe 50% of your daily calories, that's 1,000 calories worth of fat. So be very careful understanding those percentages. That should be a really big clue to you already, that when something's percentage, the total fat is 25% already, and your protein is only 10%. You guys already know by looking at your calories and your numbers what those numbers look like, that 10% protein is not enough in your daily recommended amounts, right? So be careful with that part of it. Now, also some things to visualize while reading a label. Every 5 grams of fat equals a teaspoon of fat. So every 5 grams, when you see that number, equals a teaspoon of fat or 1 pat of butter. Every 4 grams of sugar equals a teaspoon, equals another teaspoon. So every 4 grams of sugar equals a full teaspoon of sugar. So in a 16-ounce container of a sweetened tea product, there might be 30 grams of sugar per serving. But that's 2 servings, remember? Because 16 ounces is 2 servings. So there are 30 grams of sugar per serving. So if you drink the entire bottle, you're consuming 60 grams of sugar, or 15 teaspoons. That's 5 tablespoons, or 1/3 of a cup of sugar. So, and this is very typical. We talked a little bit about soda drinks also a couple of weeks ago when we talked about sugars. And this is very typical for the soda and soft drink and packaged juice companies and drink companies. If you look at all of the labels, you will see the enormous amounts of sugar in these products. And so the food labels are very, very deceptive on this, so that they don't have to basically tell you that there's 1/3 of a cup of sugar in there. You have to be able to do some simple math, which everyone can do it. We just need to make sure we're looking at that label. So the take-home message about this one is compare the label with every choice you make. We even discussed this last week with the yogurt label and the hidden sugars. Look for fats and hidden sugars, as well as the percentage of the daily recommendation. Make sure when you look at the label, you're making an accurate assessment of to what's in that particular food item. And when you put those things into MyFitnessPal, don't beat yourself up for consuming them, but just look at them and go, oh, okay, well, if I switch this particular food item out for another item, then that's a healthier choice for me. That gives me a better choice, a better source of protein, a better source of high quality carbohydrates, and a better source of high quality fat without having so many calories. And so really, really, really learn to look at these labels and get them. All right, so the next steps, that's gonna conclude everything for tonight. If you have not done so, I've gotten, I think, most everybody scheduled for your one-on-ones. If you haven't done so, get with me sometime this week. I have maybe 1 or 2 more slots left for this week, but I can push off until next week if we need to. Get those scheduled. Make sure that you're still connecting on social media and MyFitnessPal. I've gotten most everybody set up for MyFitnessPal. A couple of you still haven't quite got the sharing feature fixed yet. Make sure you do that so I can see your journals. Also, concerning social media, one of the things that I've talked with you guys a lot this week is my free fit camp on Saturday. So you guys are doing your Balance Burn classes, and Sean has indicated that he'd like for you guys to step up a little bit and do a little bit more work. And if you don't have another class to go to, or you don't have another physical activity that you really want to do, really strongly consider coming to my free fit camp on Saturday morning that I do it. It's at 9:30. It's in Logan Circle right here in Northwest. I do it in the circle, so you can't miss us. It's a small group of people that's really fun. It's all types of people that come, a variety of fitness levels, and I make it fun and interesting and challenging, but also we modify things for people that need it. So, we have young people and older people, and so we can make it work for everybody. But Melissa came to one a couple weekends ago. Had a fantastic time with it. I think she said she's going to try to come back either this weekend or next weekend. I've talked to a couple other people that are coming back. So, come out to that. That's a really good option. It's, again, 9:30 in Logan Circle. If you follow me on Facebook, I will post it, and I will try to post the invite back into the Balance Burn Challenge group. Even if you just select that you're interested in coming to it, it will automatically add you to the invite list. And so every week when I send that invite out, I just copy the prior weeks so that the same people are invited. So if you are interested, and if you even just select interested in it, even if you don't show up, you will then be added to the invite list every week to make sure that you have that. And you're welcome to come anytime. It lasts about 45 minutes to an hour out in the circle. Unless it's lightning and thundering, we're typically out there. Keep tracking, keep tracking, keep tracking, keep tracking. Those of you who are making significant changes and getting great results, the reason is because you're tracking, and it's very clear. It's from my end, it's very clear when I look at you, your tracking methods, and look at your MyFitnessPals, and we talk one-on-one. You're hitting all your numbers, you're doing great, and your results are showing it. Those of you that are struggling to hit the numbers, or that you're just not getting the results, if I look back and look at it, it's because you're not tracking. Now, we're in week 5, and I've told you guys I can be a little taskmaster when it comes to this kind of stuff, and so now you're going to start seeing me get a little more demanding with this. I'm going to tell you guys, if I look at your tracking and you don't have it done, if I'm looking at your journals and there's no information there, I'm just going to tell you what my coach told me. You're just not doing the work. I mean, seriously, you're lazy. She said, you're lazy. You're all those things. Don't have excuses. Stop making excuses for not tracking. If you're not getting results, something has to change. And the only thing you can change is you. So get to work, get tracking, understand what you're putting in your body, and then come to me and say, you know, I'm just not getting where I want to go. I'm not really sure what's wrong. My answer is going to be, I don't know, because I can't see what you're eating. I don't know what you're eating. And you can tell me all day long what you're eating, but if you're not tracking it, then I know that you don't know what you're eating. So you've got to track, you've got to track, you've got to track, okay? And I'll keep saying that every week. By the way, it's always going to show up on here. Rewatch this webinar. I'll have it posted. I'm actually going to try to get this one posted tomorrow because I have a busy Thursday, so I'm going to try to get this one done and back up on Wednesday. I will send that out when I get it done. You guys will get notifications that it's posted. But rewatch this webinar so that you can take more notes on those meal planning tools and get some more good information. And then also, I'm going to start throwing out some information to you guys about things that are coming for you in the future. Keep in mind, after this challenge, there are many things that you can opt to do. I know I haven't talked to Sean whether he's going to do another challenge this summer or anything, so I don't know if we're going to have any other things going on together. But remember, I do challenges and coaching full-time. That's my full-time career. And so if there's something that you know, you're thinking, you know, I want to get through this, and then there's a possibility of something else you want to work on, get with me on that during our one-on-ones if you want to chat about it. I'm also going to be throwing out some information in the next couple of weeks, what's going to happen when you guys are done with this challenge and how you might stay plugged into what we're doing here. But just know that that private coaching is an option. I love working one-on-one with people because it gives me a lot more accountability with you. It gives me a lot more time to really connect and make sure that you're reaching the goals that you want. And several of you have really taken advantage of the opportunity to talk with me and really work with me while we've done this. And I don't mind spending the time with you at all. And I'm always available despite my schedule. And I really, really enjoy helping you guys break through any of the roadblocks that are keeping you from getting to your goals. And so that's the fun part. And as some of you will probably attest, sometimes it's not about food or it's not about your meal plan. It's about, you know, what's in here. And I can take you in here and fix some of those things too, because I've been there. So know that that stuff is coming out. I also, in the next challenge, I'm also working on myself, putting a new challenge out for this summer. There will be details on my personal website, which we will be rolling out in probably another week or two. And that information will be available to you guys. And also know this, we are creating a section of the website that is going to house all the information that you guys have just have continued to build, and the videos for this. Those will all be ported over to this website, and you guys will have your own private logins to this particular part of the website that'll give you all the details. So it will be live for you to look at and continue using this information. And I'm going to open that up to you guys for free of charge because you've paid for this challenge, but also I would like for your help to help me make sure that the whole thing works and beta test that particular portion of the website. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of responsibility to help me out in return. So I'll get all that information out to you guys in the next week or two about potential next challenge, and that challenge will likely have a cash incentive to come back to you to be in that challenge. So money always helps people stay motivated. So keep that in mind. That'll be coming. And then next week is one of my favorite topics. This is my education. This is what I'm really good at as far as the knowledge level, and that is sports and fitness nutrition and supplementation. This is a key component for you guys that are really pushing it in the gym and really getting clear about how to fuel your body before and after, what kind of supplements are important, what kind of supplements are money wasters, and really digging deep into that. And I'll give you guys a little bit of a hint from this. I had a conversation today with one of you guys about post-workout products that this particular person was using, and I asked the question, which I always pose this question to people who tell me they're taking a particular supplement. I said, why did you choose to take that supplement? How did you decide that that was an important part of your supplement routine? And the response was, well, someone in the gym told me that I wanted to grow muscles, then I needed to use this particular supplement. And my answer for all that is usually, the guy in the gym who has the big muscles, don't always take what he says as the way he got there. And there's a couple of reasons why. A guy who weighs 280 pounds and who has really big, heavy muscles, his body needs different supplements and different supplementation to get there and to maintain that. And it didn't happen because he started taking that product. You have to build the foundation for the nutrition part first and then work on it. And at some point, and this is a great example of that, the creatine product that everybody says, I take creatine because your body secretes creatine already, and until you get to a certain volume level where your body just does not produce enough creatine to continue building muscle and maintaining muscle, there are very few of us that don't secrete enough creatine in our bodies. And so by adding creatine into our body, a lot of us put ourselves at risk for toxicity levels with creatine. And so, and because it's not a drug, it's not regulated. So be very careful with those things. And that's, again, something I'm very passionate about and I can help with. So that's next week's topic. I have some great discussions on that, and get you guys on track with your workouts. All right, I think that is it for tonight. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for you guys at home. So I'll get this done, and then we will start on some questions and answers. So stop that particular piece and stop the recording. So